I know we're going to talk about this at some point. Let's go ahead and talk about it now. Because the Chiefs were trying to make it interesting, down 31-20. They were doing their best to try to pull their way back into the game and have that moment where we have seen it so many times where they can score a bunch of points quickly. And then came the flag when it looked like the Chiefs were getting the defense off the field. It looked like they had an interception, the roughing the passer flag for Frank Clark. Now, and it wasn't the phantom roughing that we've seen so many times this year. I understand the point when you see the scoop. Remember all the discussion a couple of years ago about the scoop of the player, of the quarterback's leg off the ground. That's what Frank Clark kind of did. But still, it's the scoop and then all the body weight. I don't see all the body weight. There's a little bit of giving him the business with the right arm, but Mike, it's sad for me, and I know Bills fans get mad because, like, well, there were a lot of bad calls. How about the bad holding call just before that? I get all that, but this one moment, that we can crystallize it down to that moment, robbed everyone of what could have been a hell of an exciting finish because the Chiefs were ready to kick it into overdrive at that point.
Listen, you don't have to certainly, go to me on that point. You know where I stand on it. I think some of it is absolutely ridiculous. Now, when I was playing, we had a guy in Clyde Simmons, defensive end, phenomenal pass rusher, who would body weight the quarterbacks all the time, and it was completely legal to do. And I get the reason why they don't want anymore, kind of. There still has to be some aggressive, physical part of the game. But I get, hey, the quarterback's throwing the ball. You can't just lift him and dump him. Well, that was kind of a two-way street there. The quarterback's throwing the ball. His momentum is already going that way when Clark's coming the other way. So we kind of caught him in the air a little bit. And then they just want to see these guys when they're going down to put their hands out. Though I remember a couple of years ago, I saw a roughing the passer where a defender did put his hands out to try and not put the weight on him and still got the flag. So there is inconsistency to it. It does drive me nuts because it was a good rush. The player stayed down low like you want him to do. He didn't go up high to the head. And then I know the shoulder came down on him. The left arm wasn't wrapped around either or driving in. But they want to see some kind of effort from a defensive player, Mike, in a bang-bang play, in a quick play that shows they're showing mercy for the quarterback. That's what they want to see. And if they don't see it, they're going to throw the flag. So I can't stand it. I'll complain about it all the time, and I'll get yelled at. You're a former defensive player, one of those guys that doesn't mind seeing, so I don't want to see anybody get hurt. But there are certain parts of the game and that should be there. And I think that was one that didn't break the intent of what that rule is meant to be.
A lot of times I'll see a defensive player make a play and get flagged, and the obvious question is, what should he have done differently?
Right.
And sometimes the explanation is there's nothing he could have done differently. Stuff happens. And really, what could Frank Clark have done differently there? He's trying to get to the quarterback. He's trying to get home. How is he supposed to know the ball is gone? It was a flash. It was there. If Josh Allen has that ball in his hands and that's how he gets tackled, I doubt that's a flag. And it wasn't late, and it wasn't overly violent. It was just one of those things like we saw back in week 1 when I think it was Zadarius Smith that applied the hit to Jameis Winston.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's like it just looks like a penalty in today's NFL, even if when you break it down it isn't. You can watch it in slow motion and say, "Oh, I see a little bit of this," and "Oh, I see a little bit of that," but full speed, real time. I think we're asking these guys to do way too much. Let's hear from Andy Reid about that critical roughing the passer call that kept the Chiefs from possibly stealing a win.
It's a shame that happens. We had the momentum coming back our way, and it's not the first time, but it's a shame.
It is a shame, and I've joked in the past that they should just make the roughing the passer rule the same as roughing the kicker and roughing the punter. I feel like sometimes that's how they view it.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. It is, and there's a lot of times I don't blame the refs, again, because they get the mandate. And again, as I keep saying, they get graded every single game. And, when you see those referees and officials in the playoffs and the Super Bowl, that's because they're grading out pretty well. So they know they'll get graded down. and they're told throw the flag. This was just how it looked. You're exactly right, Mike. I mean, momentum of the quarterback throwing, momentum of Clark hitting him where he did, brought him in the air. And then I'm sure if that left arm of his went out before Allen hit the ground and made it look like he was trying not to land on him, that's what they want them to do. That's what they want these defenders to do, is pull off instead of driving them into the ground. That's the rule now. So that's, I believe, the circumstances of looking like he was in the air and tipping him and then not pulling off like he wasn't driving him into the ground. And again, they're seeing it in fast motion. We see it in slow motion, but he's throwing the flag, and that's what they want to see, and that's what they want to change. And it's hard as hell to change something like that, but that's what they've been asking DBs to do with their level of where they hit. They've been asking the defense to change the way they go about it. Some I understand, but some of it is going too far.
And this would be a great occasion to have someone like VP of Officiating Walt Anderson on NFL Network or here or ESPN or somewhere to explain exactly what they're looking for, exactly what they want players to do and not do. But this is one of the realities of the NFL as of this moment. They don't say much. They hardly say anything. Keep your head low, keep your mouth shut, and it never really becomes a full-blown controversy because you don't add to it with your words, with your attempt to explain it, Mike, and we just have to adjust to that. It's a mistake, and they're setting themselves up for a major controversy, but there's no transparency, there's no accountability externally where we can all understand it. I think that's part of the problem. They don't help the average fan understand exactly what you can and can't do.
I agree, and just so everybody knows, the team will hear. The team will hear from the league because I'm sure that Kansas City is saying, okay, you tell us what, and they'll give them an explanation. Don't drive them into the ground, pull your arm, or whatever they're going to tell them, they do tell the team. But to your point, it would be nice, because while you are a multi-billion-dollar league, you are concerned about public relations at times as well. So why not be open about it and explain it? Again, we may not like it, but at least there's something about it being explained to you. That's how it always was with the coach. I may not like what he says about me, but at least I know it. At least he said it to me. So while it comes down to, are we owed that from the league for us as the media and or fans to know? No, we're not owed it. But I think it would go a ways in at least us going, okay, all right, well, that's their rule. They defined it. I don't like the rule, and I don't like how they defined it, but at least they explained it. I think people would like that, and the league is just basically like, no, we're not going to do it. We'll tell the team if they ask. Other than that, you know what? We're not letting anybody know.
You know who is owed it, though? And this is the reality for the NFL. All those people who are responding in the desired way to the various commercials that mention at the end that they are official sports betting partners of the National Football League. Those are the people who are owed and will be owed the explanations, because those people are the ones who are carving off some of their discretionary income, and hopefully it's only their discretionary income to wager on the outcomes of games. They are owed the transparency. And the problem with transparency, Mike, is sometimes if you make a full commitment to transparency, sometimes the answer is, we just screwed that one up. Nothing we can tell you.
Yeah, and there's nothing, and I've always found, man, and this is the term I've always used, is wear the hat. I did it in meetings, all my life. If it was your fault, you see it right there on film. It's not like you can go, I don't know. No. That's your fault. And you usually know it at the time. Wear the hat of responsibility. Guess what? You don't get every call right. And I don't expect every official to get every call right because they're bang plays. Unless you can review it and be able to change it that way, you're not going to get every call right. So there's nothing wrong with saying we screwed that one up. Let me tell you, through the teams I played for, we've gotten enough letters, and teams get enough letters on Mondays, or it's probably email now or a text, about, we screwed that one up. Again, the teams are told that. The teams are told when the officials or a call went against them, but nobody else knows really outside of that unless the team wants to make it public.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.